Don't you be doing that, Lucy.
Councilor Aker?
I said you can take all the calls from Fleet Street then. All right.
Where's the Sergeant of Arms? Florence and Jason, Randy. Florence and Jason. Florence and Jason. Well, we could change that.
Tell us a few stories. Tell us a few stories.
On the way in. Yeah.
Change the board. I know that's a door I open.
We could sing We Are Family. Remember they had?
Jim had a good song that time. What was it?
Michelle was not here.
These things is not.
Something outrageous about it.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, that was good.
20 degrees.
9 days.
Year begins. And good afternoon, everyone. We will call today's meeting to order. As you know, today we have the good folks from Rogers Cable here with us, and they have asked that we all turn on the microphones and leave them on. Apparently, we're not scandal-ridden enough. They now want to know what we're thinking when we're not talking. So turn on the microphones so that and keep them on for the duration of the meeting today is what we have to do.
They've also said to speak quickly because it's a beautiful day and they want to leave.
They wouldn't mind seeing this one in, fairly early. So let's go for it. Let's say we can do it in what, 3.5 hours. Everybody good? On that?
We'll get there. Yeah.
All right. Well, the first thing, obviously, you have in front of you the agenda for the meeting of April 17th, and I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
By Councilor Redwell, seconded by Councilor Aker, that we accept the agenda as presented. We do not have, I don't see any items outside of the agenda. Are there any to add? Any items outside the agenda to add? No. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded motion is carried. We'll go to the minutes of the public meeting of April 3rd then. Accept the motion on the minutes as presented. Moved by Councilor Stoyle, seconded by Deputy Mayor Locke. Errors and omissions, any errors and omissions again from the minutes of April 3rd. Errors and omissions. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Motion is carried. Business arising, and again, this is specific to the meeting of April 3rd. Business arising. Councillor Ledwell, you have the floor.
Just want to speak to item number 207 in regards to the Mount Carson Avenue project. At the last meeting, I provided council with a date, an anticipated start date of April 16th to the 23rd. There was a little bit of confusion there. The actual start date for the project is in fact May 7th. That's the CP2, phase 2 of the street upgrading for this year. On May 7th when Mount Carson will start.
Yep.
And we're anticipating that the completion date will be roughly the end of June, as per the question
Everything
that was asked.
associated with Mount Carson will be done by the end of June?
That's the information that we're getting. It might be early July, but around that time frame, yes.
All right. I understood it was going to be August. So that's really positive. That's good.
Your Worship,
Councillor Walsh?
on a related matter to that, I had a conversation with a resident on Mount Carson on the weekend, actually. Some of the concrete work that was put in at the bottom of Mount Carson is actually coming apart. It's crumbling. And
Yes.
I don't know if that was temporary or is it supposed to be, was that supposed to be part of the permanent structure? If it was temporary, it's not a problem because maybe they were being rushed at the end of the season to try to get it done and maybe there were some higher degrees of salt concentrate or it might have even been the late weather condition because it was November and we were starting to get pretty cold weather.
It's pretty rough.
But it's actually crumbling. So
it's on curb work? And
yeah,
stuff like that?
some of the curb work.
Curb and
Yeah.
sidewalk,
So
yeah.
we need to check into that, and if that in fact is deficient, I know it hasn't gone through final inspection yet, obviously, because the work is not completed. But just to pass that on and maybe have staff check into that and see whether or not that was supposed to be part of a permanent structure or just a temporary replacement during the winter months to clean up the area a little bit. So we'll see where that takes us.
Absolutely. My understanding, Councillor Walsh, is that in actual fact it was permanent.
Yeah.
And
Well, if it is,
it's obviously
it's
going to have
small.
to be looked at and redone. Whatever the plan was, it hasn't worked out very well. On the lower part of Mount Carson with that sidewalk and curb and gutter.
We'll have engineering staff, I guess, look into it, check with
Please.
the contractor, and we'll get back to you.
Yep. Okay. Any other business arising from the minutes of April 3rd? Going once, going twice? Okay, sold. We will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is proclamations and presentations, and we have several today. Council, the first thing I want to do is to introduce somebody here to the assembled crowd, and perhaps to some of you as well. I'm not sure if all members of council have had the honor yet or the pleasure of meeting with Jason Collins. But Jason, who has a white piece of paper, he hasn't even got a nameplate yet. That's how much of a raw rookie this guy is. City Council is very pleased today to be announcing that Jason Collins has now been appointed to the position of Director of Community Services. He started in the position on April 9, 2012. Jason joins the city from Paradise. He was working there with them as Director of Recreation and Leisure Services. He has a broad and extensive career in this field. Throughout his career, he's worked with municipal as well as territorial governments in Canada. As well, he's also spent time working in the not-for-profit sector. Jason has held leadership positions in various roles relating to recreation, leisure, youth, health and wellness, sport, as well as community services and events. He holds a Bachelor of Recreation degree with honors from Memorial University with a minor in business. And Jason has coached various sports at the community, provincial, and national levels, and he volunteers with a number of community organizations. Michelle Peach, our city chief administrator, has noted to council that Jason's background and approach will assist in continuing the development and delivery of programs and services to engage and meet the needs of our community, especially with the development of our new city multiplex facility. We look forward, Jason, to having the opportunity to work with you in the months and years to come, and to joining you in your work as you continue the city's success as a great place to live, to work, to conduct business, and obviously continue to be a great place to raise a family. Council, if you would, join me in saying welcome, Jason Collins. Had the chance to get into his office yesterday and say hello to him very quickly. And behind his desk, there's a little hole in the wall. So I said to him, Jason, 1 week, what's wrong? And he said, no, there when I got here. And apparently they're getting it fixed for him, a little hole in the wall. So we had a little laugh about that, but Jason's engaged, and quick learning curve, no doubt about it. And this is his first council meeting here in Mount Pearl as a member of our senior staff. And we welcome you, Jason, and we look forward to a great tenure and successful relationship between the city of Mount Pearl and you. We now have 2 Jasons over there.
Just to make it complicated.
Jason Silver, our Corporate Services Director, and now Jason Collins, our Community Services Director. So I wanted to go young Jason, old Jason. That doesn't work.
They're both too young.
Right? That doesn't work. They're both too young. Little Jason, big Jason, but they're about the same size. Right? Because I have a little nephew, and he's little Randy, and I'm big Randy.
I don't like where this
You
is.
don't
thought that would work.
You don't get to say that very much.
And I don't get to say that much.
Not so big anymore.
But the only thing to distinguish them, I guess,
Is their
would be
eye
the whole issue of hair. We have one who's bald and one who's not. Right?
I was thinking eye color.
So hairy Jason.
You were thinking eye color.
Yeah.
How politically correct. Anyway,
3.5.
well, 2 Jasons, and if you work out as well as the first one, we're going to love you, Jason Collins. Everybody, we'll move on. The second thing that we've got on our thing today is a presentation. And this is a presentation from Lupus. If I can ever get to it on this thing now today. Here we go. This is a presentation from Lupus. Deanne Lehman is here with us. And this is about the Lupus activities and the things that they are engaged in. And what I'm going to ask you to do, Deanne, is come up here if you would. And join me here. And talk to us a little bit about activities and the work on behalf of Lupus Newfoundland and Labrador.
Well, first of all, I'll give you this. I'd like to thank Mount Pearl for all their support. They've supported us for the last number of years. And so we wanted to give you a certificate of appreciation for all of your services and great support.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Thank you, ma'am. Very much.
Thank you.
So how are things going with the organization?
The organization is growing. We have a number of fundraisers now. Our biggest one now is June. It's our biggest one going national, and it's going to be taking place actually in New York City, up in the Reed Center. So hope all of you will please come. And
June 10th.
we have I put on your desks actually the pledge forms if you care to fill them out. It's a fundraiser that will help all the patients and with research and support of the patients, which is very important. That being said, there is another fundraiser that we have, usually is up in this area also. It's our bike ride for in memory of Diane Barrett, who has passed away from lupus, unfortunately, and that will take place in early September.
Okay.
So we do have a lot on the go, but we're still trying to get more things on the go. And there has been promising. We have a new drug coming out this year, which is very promising, but it's still hesitant. So
Research work is continuing, and obviously money is what's needed to keep that going.
yes,
I see Dr. Sasha Pernatsky has a new book out called The Lupus, the Disease with 1,000 Faces.
yes,
And I guess that's available here in the province as well.
yes, it is. All they have to do is call me, and I'll provide them with that.
Okay, well,
Yes.
Deanne, thank you so much for this.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate the certificate and the recognition of our little bit of cheering on support for the lupus organization in Newfoundland and Labrador.
We appreciate our money.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody with a comment on that?
I make
Councillor
comment.
Stoyle.
I will make comment, Your Worship.
Yep.
And as Deanne said, City of Mount Pearl has been gracious to let us use the building. We use the city hall for our public meetings and also when we have executive meetings. And we had a doctor here just 3 weeks ago, and we used the chamber here when he did his presentation. So it was great that the city is able, and again with the Reed Centre. And I mean, almost all of our events are happening in Mount Pearl. One of the things Deanne didn't mention was the card game that we do every year. And the Knights of Columbus has this is going to be year 3. We used to do it on our own down at Park Place, and we changed from Knights of Columbus 2 years ago. So this is going to be year 3, and of course I've been on the executive with Deanne for the past number of years, and it's certainly a worthwhile organisation. And I just wanted to say hats off to all the volunteers, especially with this being volunteer week coming up. We have a lot of volunteers in the province involved with us with lupus, and I want to say thank you to all of our volunteers.
So the
Thank
question,
you,
Your
Councillor.
Worship,
Deputy Mayor?
It says thousands of pains. Just wondering, like, how many in Newfoundland would be stricken by this? Any stats on that? Just curious.
Across Newfoundland and Labrador, we have approximately, because there's no real set up database, there's approximately 780.
About
Seventy.
780 currently diagnosed with lupus.
Correct, they range
Okay.
from children and mostly it's women, so,
mostly his women?
yes.
Is that right? I did not know that. All right, well, thank you very much again, Deanne. Thank you, Councillor Stoyles. Good luck with all of your campaigns, and we really appreciate this certificate of appreciation and recognition, as I say, for our small bit of cheerleading for the organization. And we look forward to having you host other events, both fundraising and awareness events in the city of Mount Pearl, and continue to be engaged with our residents. I think you'll find that a valuable asset as the organization continues to grow, and hopefully one day a cure. That would be the ultimate. Speaking of all of these things related to presentations and whatnot, I have a presentation to make today, which I'm very pleased to do because it's a presentation to one of our very own. Most of you will recall, and unfortunately, Councillor Tessier is not with us today. She works with the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, and so she would be personally engaged with this as well. Most of you are aware of a thing that happened on March 31st called Bust a Move. I think Gene Simmons was in town for it, and he pumped everybody up.
Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons. Gene Simmons is the other guy. All right.
Kiss guy.
Forgive me.
Did he
He's
wear
the
his
kiss
makeup?
guy.
He can really bust a move.
He can really bust a move. Richard Simmons. They had quite a day here with him in Newfoundland and Labrador. They did a day-long fitness fundraising extravaganza. Kathy Ivety from the city of Mount Pearl signed on to be a part of that event. And she participated in this worthwhile event. On behalf of the city, Kathy, we're very proud of you for doing this. Our city staff, by the way, held fundraisers for her. They did some 50-50 draws and things among the staff, gave out some prizes, and raised a bunch of money. Each person that participated had to contribute like something around $1,000 to engage in this thing with Mr. Simmons, and then stay there and try and do that workout all day, which Kathy and others successfully did. Kathy, we're very proud of you and having taken this initiative. When the city was approached to participate, we thank you, and we want to pass on an extended thank you as well to all of our city staff for assisting with the fundraising for this event. I have a copy of a picture here, which I'm presenting to you today, of the staff members engaged in this process of your team. And so I want you to come forward. We're going to present you with this picture of the team from Bus to Move. And by the way, the amount of funding raised for breast cancer research as a result of this Bus to Move activity that day, $360,000. That's pretty incredible.
Wow.
Kathy?
Excellent.
Oh, hold on. We got to get a snap taken.
Snap to it. Bus to Move. You know what it is.
Kathy's been watching me suffer that every day. Thank you, Kathy, very much. Pass on to all the team our appreciation and our congratulations. That's wonderful. All right, back to the agenda then, and the first will be our Public Works Committee report. If I can ever get it to come up, and I don't think. Okay, here it comes. Councillor Walsh, you're already on the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Yeah, we have a couple of items, and then this afternoon we have a bit of an unusual presentation that we're going to use some PowerPoint assistance with, and hopefully Ms. Lewis is going to lead us through that as well. But a couple of quick things first, Your Worship. We put a tender out for ornamental nursery stock, and we had a couple of respondents, Gay Seed and Pat's Plants. The committee recommends that the tender be awarded to the low bidder, Pat's Plants, for the cost of $11,685.90, and I so move.
It is moved and is seconded. Who's the alternate with Councillor Tessa? You're gone. Councillor Aker?
Seconded.
Moved, seconded. Question or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded, motion carried.
Your Worship, for the last number of years, as you know, Russells have done some tremendous work around the city in terms of landscape maintenance. It's always prudent on our behalf to go to market and see if there are others interested in providing the service for a competitive rate, and I guess it keeps everybody honest as well. We did that again this year, unfortunately, but fortunately in the sense that we get tremendous service from Russells. We just had the one bid, and we're recommending that the tender be awarded to Russells Landscaping as per the quotation sheet, which is attached, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Question or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded, motion carried.
Okay, thirdly, Your Worship, I want to get into, and I have to begin by saying I'm really proud to introduce this initiative today, and maybe even a little bit excited. And I kind of jokingly said to the residents of the Mortimer Drive area that I met a little while ago, the fact that I'm a little excited about a garbage operational decision is probably more a testament of how boring my life is at this stage than anything else. But,
I don't think so.
but it is,
exciting.
it is an interesting, innovative, kind of cutting-edge technology. And we're talking about a curbside system which uses totally automated garbage collection systems and containers. I'm going to ask you to pay a little attention to the slideshow, and we'll move on with that now, Ms. Lewis, if you can. This system obviously uses a wheeled container. We've decided to go with a consistent size of 95-gallon containers. I like to say that these are safe, they're clean, they're green, and for me, it's probably also inevitable. I think this is going to be the way of the very near future. We're happy to be able to say that this is relatively new technology to Newfoundland, but not necessarily Labrador. We would be the first municipality to implement this system on the island. But Labrador City, strangely enough, has been using this system for several years, and they absolutely love it. We've done a tremendous amount of research on this, Your Worship, and this uses the containers themselves. We're going to show you in a few minutes how easy they are to maneuver. And I'm not saying that this will not be without some problems, but they are a great system, very easy to manage and maneuver. You can see from the picture there that the absolute cleanliness, not just how neat and tidy they are, but the cleanliness of the city and how easily these could be arranged and collected, that in and of itself is very, very impressive. This is actually a picture taken from Labrador City. Looks like it's taken in probably the spring or the fall of the year. But, you know, just having the system laid out and the garbage laid out and the containers laid out as they are there is in itself very clean and very impressive. We'll just move on. There are many advantages. If we could just throw the first one. As you know, Your Worship, handling garbage on a daily basis in a waste management position on the truck and getting on and off hundreds and hundreds of times a day, and then throwing the garbage, and you know, it's probably one of the most dreaded and least popular jobs that you could have in the municipal sector. Among our public works staff, it's not the top of the heap. It's at the low end of the pecking order in terms of people wanting to do it for the most part. There are some exceptions, but generally it's not a very popular job because it's very, very difficult and very, very labor intensive. Again, these operators as well are exposed on a daily basis when you have plastic bags to sometimes chemicals that shouldn't even be in the containers. A lot of liquid materials, some of which are not chemicals or hazardous, but are still problematic if you're handling them on a daily basis. People have, and unfortunately don't always safely dispose of needles and syringes. A lot of people with diabetes and different health conditions that require that they dispose of them. Obviously, it's great if you dispose of them very safely, but that's not always the case. Sometimes broken glass and bottles. So sum it up to say that the hazards associated with dealing with garbage that's bagged is also fairly significant. The next one, in fact, if we can bring up the next two or three, one more. The garbage, and we've all seen it, unfortunately, garbage strewn around the city, gulls, crows, dogs. You know, this would completely and totally eliminate any possibility for that, because using these cart tippers, these containers have to be the only means by which residential household garbage can be collected. You can't have garbage on top of it, on the side of it, or in any other location, and it has to be contained in it. So it eliminates garbage being strewn around the city, the gulls, crows, and all the problems associated with that. It's also going to eliminate the need for the nets. The netting will no longer be required because all the garbage will be in the container.
Great joy.
With great joy indeed. In fact, I'll mention more about that in just a few minutes. Garbage collection in and of itself is probably the single job that also costs us most in terms of days lost and workers' compensation issues. If you think about it, even heavy equipment operators, they for the most part operate inside a vehicle or on a piece of heavy equipment. They're usually protected. They're also usually shielded from the environment. Fairly safe operation, but again, collecting household garbage on a daily basis is anything but that, and it's very difficult, demanding, and we get a lot of worker-related injuries, and of course, escalating costs with worker compensation and crime ratings and all of those kinds of things if people are off work because of work-related injuries. These are also very environmentally friendly. So when I say safe, clean, green, this doesn't get any better in terms of the environmental friendliness of this. Eliminating the possibility of having waste all around the city, torn apart, is obviously tremendously effective. You kind of chuckled when we talked about eliminating the nets. Of course, eliminating nets also eliminates the practice of having to enforce and control the use of nets. In the last couple of weeks, we've all received some emails, for example, from residents who had their garbage tagged and left, and not happy about that, and we all understand that. We've also had some situations where we've unfortunately had to enforce our regulations and actually ticket residents who repeatedly violated the regulations in terms of covering the garbage. This eliminates all of that and all of the headaches associated with that with a very clean and eco-friendly system. Okay, to move on, so again, it's efficient. That's a look at the operation, the system in operation. It is a mechanical arm. Again, I jokingly say this is so easy to operate that even I can do it. But an 8 or 10-year-old would do it much better than I would, in fact, because they're actually using a joystick technology that's in the truck, and they view everything from the pickup area to the dumping of the household container. They view that on a camera that's mounted on the dash of the garbage trucks, and it's tremendous because if you're actually looking at this manually and you're looking back at the container to view the container to pick it up and not looking at the camera, if there was an obstruction or a child or anything else close to the area, you wouldn't see it. Whereas the camera has a wide-angle lens that picks it up on both sides of the container. It does require a 2-meter arm span. But it collects it and dumps it. Nobody handles the garbage at all. It is a tremendous system, and it's in place in probably close to 100 municipalities throughout North America and 40 or 50 in Canada, many of which, by the way, we've researched already to try to find out what some of the challenges and problems associated with this system are. So again, if we'll move on, 3 words that we'd like for people to keep in mind. That's park it. Park it, basically against the curb. Most of our streets, all of our main thoroughfares, and even the picture we saw a little while ago in Lab City has a sidewalk. And in that case, you can keep it on the side of the sidewalk inside the curb side. But if it's no sidewalk, like my street, for example, in Westminster, there's no sidewalk, you just bring it down the end of the curb and face the wheels towards your house. And there is, in the next section there, an arrow at the top of these containers, and you point that out towards the street. So it's park it, point it, and space it. These are the only 3 things that you really have to remember in handling these containers. So parking it on the curb, pointing it outside, wheels towards the house, and space it, given enough room, 2 meters basically on each side, so that these can be safely collected. The next slide, please. This is another picture in Labrador City, in fact. This looks like, the arm itself looks like a little bit of older technology here. The arms are even improved and a little longer, and the actual catch areas of the arms, the mechanical arms, are a little longer as well. But this is an example, again, of it in operation in Labrador City. Next slide, please. And we'll bring in, what we've talked about here, basically, there are 2 different sizes of the containers. And we've debated in committee almost ad nauseum as to whether or not we'd have people have a choice with one container or the other. But these containers, and we'll demonstrate in a few minutes, are relatively easy to handle. So we decided, look, let's just go with a uniform size cart. These can contain, particularly if you compress, let the air out of the bag. By the way, it is important that you continue to use the household garbage bags, either the green or the dark colored bags. But these can handle anywhere from 4 to 6 bags. Now, most of us these days, with the diversion programs and curbside recycling, we're probably only using a couple of bags of garbage, even in my household. And fortunately or unfortunately, we still have 5 adults there. So there's a fair consumption of household garbage. We have 2 or 3 bags usually a week, and that's even with a family of 5 adults. Next bullet there, please. One of the things that we've done with this, these are tagged. There is what's referred to as an RFID tag, and what this tag means is that the particular garbage container that can be scanned easily is actually associated with your physical address. So while the containers all look alike, they are actually scanned with an RFID tag that says that this is the garbage container belong to your physical address on Carlton Drive or wherever the case may be. The next slide. That feature, of course, is for a number of reasons, but the most important one in the event of a theft or a cart being dragged away or misled, it's easy for us, at least, to be able to identify the cart as belonging to a particular address. And we want to reduce and if possible, even eliminate, but realistically reduce any potential for theft as much as we possibly can. You'll never eliminate it, but reduce it significantly. These have a 10-year warranty. There is a city logo that's hot stamped on it, which means that can't be removed. It's not something that can be peeled off. It's actually built right into the rubberized material, and that is a fairly large and easily identifiable logo. So you have the logo and you have the RFID tag. Even without garbage in them, these containers have a stability wind rating of up to 85 kilograms capacity. That's a fairly durable. Like it's not perfect. We do on occasion,
You
but
mean
rarely.
wind speed.
Yeah, kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Kilogram.
Oh no, kilometers. Sorry, yeah, kilometers. They're not nearly 85 kilograms in weight, but they do have a great rating. So it's a very solid base, and the wheel mechanical system, a very large wheel, and we'll show you. And you can actually see from that picture that the stability of the cart is fairly substantial, and the size of the wheel makes it fairly easy to move. Moving on. What we're proposing, Your Worship, with the support of Council, is that we would implement this in 3 stages. The greenish color on the bottom will be phase 1. The color on the left-hand side, that whole area of Powers Pond and Ruth Avenue, that part of Mount Pearl would be the purple, and then the area that's yellow in color would be phase 3. That would be phased in over 3 different periods. But we have identified 7 streets, in what we're referring to as a preliminary test area, that will happen in May and June, just to try to get the bugs out of some of this, get our operators used to using it, get some feedback from the residents. And we did, by the way, have a meeting of the residents of this test area just a couple of weeks ago here at City Hall, and we had a good turnout. There were 19 altogether. I think 15 of those residents representing 11 different families. So that was a good turnout. At the beginning, we're expecting really only 4 or 5 or 6 people had responded. But on the night of, we had a great representative group. People were generally very, very supportive. The typical questions were raised in terms of snow conditions, winter, the weight of the containers, and those sorts of things. But one of the things that I said in response, and I'll say to you today as well, there's no such thing as a perfect system. I mean, there are going to be operational challenges associated with this, but I will tell you that, and people have said, Lab City is not a great benchmark, and fair enough, maybe it isn't, but Lab City has very extreme weather conditions and a lot of snow, a lot more snow than we get. But 2 things that people notice is that and mentioned to me, is that the snow is very dry, it's powdery, and of course Lab City, for the most part, there are exceptions, is relatively flat. My response to that is, this is used very successfully now, though, in the regional municipality of Halifax, which serves over 400,000 residents. It has the same slopes and hills and challenges with geography and weather and climate as the city of St. John's, for example, next door, or as we would in the city of Mount Pearl. We'd probably have far less because we don't have the same kind of challenges with a downtown core. So if it can work there, obviously we feel very, very comfortable and confident that it can work here. And we are excited to be out in front of this and to try to implement this system sooner rather than later. We do have a tentative schedule, and it's phase 1 rather, would be rolled out sometime in July. And again, people have said, why are you doing this in July? Why wouldn't you do this in December or January? Well, my answer, quite honestly, is we want to ensure the success of this project. So you don't introduce it to your operators and to your residents in the very worst of conditions. You want to succeed, and you want to make sure that they have the experience when December and January and February challenges come along. So we've intentionally done it this way. The soft test area, which is the Mortimer Drive area, will be introduced in May, June. Again, these dates may change very slightly based on accessibility to some of the resources, the containers, the retrofitting of the equipment. We plan on implementing phase 2 that will be all the Powers Pond area and probably west of, I think, the Ruth Avenue, Smallwood Phase 3 would be in November. And again, at each stage, we'll continue to consult with the residents to monitor and make any adjustments in procedures or operations that would be required. Again, I want to say, if you could just move on there, I want to say that we're aware of all of the challenges that are associated with this. You can maybe bring all these up now, if you don't mind. We're up to the challenge. We've done a tremendous amount of research on this. At this point in time, I'm going to ask our newest member of senior staff, Jason Collins, if he'd mind just bringing out the container. You can see, in just moving this out here, this container has a very large wheelbase, a very strong axle system, and that container there actually now holds, that has 30 kilograms of garbage in it. Very solid top, very solid container. It has, that's not a rubber stamp, but that will have the new logo with the City of Mount Pearl on it. That's it. Just tip it up one more time, Jason, if you don't mind. And you can almost control that with a finger. Look, that's how easy. And that has, that has 4 bags of household garbage in it.
And that in it now.
Is in it right now, in fact, and it is fairly easy to maneuver without a doubt. Again, I want to say that we're not saying that there won't be, thank you, Jason, we're not saying that this won't create some challenges and problems for people. Challenges and problems are presented with everything, from snow clearing operations to the system that we currently have with the nets. There are issues and challenges associated with everything. In Mount Pearl, we've always tried to put our energy into trying to find ways to make it work, rather than trying to find ways so that it doesn't work. That's why we've been successful. This is another innovative operational tool that we're happy to roll out today, Your Worship. We are excited about it. I do want to mention, in particular, the efforts. First of all, she's not here today, but my colleague on the Public Works Committee, Councillor Tessier, is unfortunately away. But she's been very supportive. We've had a lot of meetings on this particular operational change. And also, Jerry Antler, Director, who's also not with us today, he's done a lot of work, a tremendous amount of research. And those of us who know Jerry, and he's been with us a relatively short period of time, he's a devil for detail, and he's done an incredible amount of work. And I do also want to single out Eric Arsenault, because he's done a lot of work in the retrofitting of equipment and some of the logistics changing with Labrie and the like. So it's with this in mind, Your Worship, if we'll move on, that we're asking to support this. First of all, as we get to the end here, I just want to mention that these carts and containers are city-owned property. We've wrestled with whether or not we'd make these owned by the residents, property of the residents that they could take and move. But in doing our research, a lot of people have said, you know, with the number of moves, and we checked the statistics, in Mount Pearl alone, on average, each week, there are 15 houses sold. So that's on average. Sometimes in peak periods, you may get 20 or 22, 23. But even at 15, that's 60 moves a month, over 700 moves a year that would have to track garbage containers and get garbage containers to and from. So what we're saying is that this container will actually be provided to you by the City of Mount Pearl.
To that civic address.
To a civic address. It stays and belongs to the civic address. That's why the RFID tag belongs to your particular physical address. If you move, the container stays. And that seems to be a much better solution for many of the people with whom we've contacted and done some research. The overall cost is $1.2 million. We are trying to be as transparent and open with residents as we possibly can with this. We're going to be implementing a $10 billing fee with each bill, or $20 a year. The cost recovery on this, Mr. Silver, I think is about 7+ years, thereabouts. So we're not going to start billing people for this until the January bill of 2013. This will be a waste management fee. In all likelihood, at the end of 10 years, we're probably going to want to look at replacing some of these containers anyway. And of course, there are ongoing costs, both administrative and operational, with the maintenance of the equipment. If containers go missing or happen to be stolen or whatever, there are some costs associated with that. So this waste management fee. And I should mention, when we had the meeting with the focus group, we had 15 people. There were really 13 people, I think, although they had excellent questions and feedback, seemed to be very strongly in favor of this. There was one couple who seemed to have issues or challenges with it. That's probably fairly typical, and if it is typical of the greater environment, we would be thrilled with that. But none of these 15 had any issue with the $20 cost. They thought that was very reasonable, and the fact that it was transparent. Obviously, any operational decision or any service that's provided one way or another, taxpayers need to pay for it. So we want to try to be as open with this and as transparent with this as we possibly can be. So that's it. It's a new system. It's an innovative system. It's the first on the island. It will be a great operational change embraced by our working crews at the Public Works Department. It doesn't displace any employees at all, because right now there's still only one employee on the garbage trucks, as you know. But it will make it a much safer work environment for them, a lot easier, we hope, and a lot more environmentally friendly. And at the end of the day, we think just a super improvement and to the efficiency and the overall effectiveness of our waste management system. So that's it, Your Worship. Because this has a financial implication, I need to ask for the support of Council on this through a motion, and I'd move that the Council adopt this, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Walsh. It is going to be seconded by Councillor Aker. Questions or comments from anybody on this particular topic? Councillor Stoyles.
Your Worship, I want to say that I happened to be in Labrador last winter, and we had a tour actually. The M&L board was up there, and I had said that we were looking at, so we called ahead and arranged to go out with the truck. We were out for a whole morning, and it was a stormy morning, and it worked quite well. And the morning we had been out, it was a little bit, it was windy and that, and I was quite impressed with how it worked. It was unbelievable. Like, we were in the truck watching, and then we got out and got in the pickup behind, because we wanted to see if there was any debris blew away or anything. And I got to say, from what we've seen, it seems like a good operation, and we will see then. And I know, I guess we will, look, I guess in 4 or 5 years' time about the cost and everything. And once the system is paid for, and if we're not having any problems with it, maybe we will then look at saying, well, they're paid for and that's it. But we don't know what's going to happen until we get, I guess, 5, like Councillor Welch said, you might need 10 years. We don't know how many years we're going to need to charge this fee. It might be only for the 5 or 6 years until it's paid for. We don't know what kind of problems or what kind of kinks is going to come out of it as well. So I want to say that I fully support this system.
Anyone else? Councillor Aker.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I must say, I have to be candid. From the start, I think I had reservations about the fee. I like the program, I must say. I love the fact that we're going to use these arms now to be picking up the garbage. When you bring in unbudgeted expenditure, though, into council, basically you have to put something in place. And I think Councillor Walsh has done a responsible job in that matter. We can't put an expenditure on the table and then just walk away from it. We have to understand, just like when we're managing our own households, where the money's going to come from. I would have loved to seen this deferred to the next budget process, but if we're going to get on with it this year, I guess the fee is the way to go. And I know we will have our challenges implementing this particular program. Some of the seniors are going to find it difficult, and some of the people who live in rural housing and people who live on hilly environments and that, right? You know what I mean? But I agree with your earlier statement, Councillor Walsh, that this is more about let's work on getting it done. Let's work on making this program successful as opposed to trying to stop it, right? So I'm happy to second the motion.
Anybody else with a comment? Deputy Mayor?
Councillor Aker touched on several of the issues. Several of the residents, because it made the media yesterday, the big thing was the snow, how we're going to get them out in the snow. But as Mr. Collins brought the container out there, you can see with those big wheels, I think that will make it a lot easier getting it through the snow. Councillor Aker also mentioned some people in row housing, attached housing. Their concern was, like, where are we going to put this? We have no place to store it. It's too big. I can't get it around in the backyard and all this sort of stuff. But again, to Councillor Walsh's point, let's focus on ways that we can make this a success rather than look at all the obstacles that may arise. It has a lot of positive points to it. And I do want to commend Councillor Walsh and his committee and, of course, the staff, because based on the reports that were brought back to our committee table, it was clearly evident the volume of work that went into this was well researched. And again, it's been used in areas, as Councillor Walsh said, with similar climates, wind conditions, slope conditions, and the like. So again, it's another innovative approach that we at the City of Mount Pearl try to employ to provide better services to our residents, but also better working conditions for our employees. So hats off to the committee. I think it's going to be a great project. Again, there will be bumps along the way, but in Mount Pearl we're problem solvers, so we'll certainly see through this. So I'm in full support of this project, Your Worship. Thank you.
Councillor Ledwell.
I also want to speak and just voice my support as well for this new initiative. I think for me there are two aspects of this program that are going to make a very positive impact in the city. Number one being the environmentally friendly nature of the project. You know, we only have one planet, and we have to do our best to look after it. And certainly in the city of Mount Pearl, we tend to be at the leading edge with cutting edge programs and doing our best to keep our city clean and at least keep our little corner of the planet doing as best as it can be. So I'm certainly in favor of doing what we can in an environmental sense. As well, of course, the safety of our staff is very much paramount in council's eyes, and we have a great staff, and certainly we should be doing what we can to keep those folks safe, and this will go a long way towards keeping our staff safe and possibly putting years onto their working lives and allowing them to enjoy the years after their working lives. So I do want to congratulate Councillor Walsh, Councillor Tessier, Director Antle, and all of the committee for all the work they put into this. I think it's going to be a very successful initiative, and I'm proud to support it.
Thank you very much. Let me just say very quickly for a second that this is, while this is somewhat innovative and maybe we could even claim it's creative, the reality of it is this technology is not that new. It's been used in any number of municipalities, particularly those from our perspective, northern climates. The issue of how you deal with these in row houses has been addressed elsewhere. We'll address it, I'm sure, the very same way. I don't think this is going to be as much of a challenge for seniors, for example, having to move the cart once as opposed to having to move the garbage 2 or 3 times back to the house to get one and bring it out, back to the house to get one, and so on. I believe we eliminate a tremendous annoyance for our citizens when we get rid of the nets and we get rid of the blankets and we get rid of
storage area too.
The quilts and all of that kind of stuff. It is a tremendous storage area for getting garbage out of your house. The only issue that I can see that anybody could possibly have with this would be the issue of the fee, where they would say, well, you should be paying for this anyway. But of course you can't do that. You cannot have the expense and not have the funds to cover it. 2 quick little points I would make as well. First and foremost, we are doing a pilot project. We're not doing this blindly. We're not just going to go and say, we're going to do this for 10,000 citizens and here's the way it's going to be, only to discover we've got a problem. So I commend the committee for saying, even though we know this is not new, even though we've studied what they're doing in other jurisdictions, we know this will work, let's test it on us first. Let's test it in the community first. And I am pleased to say that the residents, as Councillor Walsh put it, the residents seem to have signed on. They seem to be willing to participate. If the citizens' support of our recycling initiatives is any example, we're going to have no problem with this at all. In fact, I had the pleasure of speaking with the former mayor of Labrador City, who was the mayor when they brought in the program in 2008. And they had 100% compliance within like 16, 17 days. It was not a problem. And I'm anticipating this is going to run smooth as silk. Now, we could be wrong, right? We are going to have glitches, for sure. But I don't think there's any question this will be successful in Mount Pearl. And I don't think we're going to, I think that our citizens at the end of the day will hopefully applaud it, because once again, it goes to the heart of our strategic plan, which is not based on constant growth. It is based on constant improvement. And we're looking at every service we provide to see if there are ways we can improve it. And this is really, I think, a big first one. It's not going to be the last, I think, in the next 5 years. So with that, I'm I'm going to allow Councillor Walsh to close the debate on the motion, and then we'll call for the vote. Councillor Walsh.
Well, first of all, Your Worship, I want to thank all of my colleagues on council, particularly Councillor Aker, who I know had some reservations in terms of how we would pay for this, because this is a fairly substantial cost, quite frankly, and it is an unbudgeted item. We wanted to do this while it was available. We wanted to try to get out in front of this and have it implemented, as we said, during a period of time when we could really see some success with it. I should mention a couple of things, because most of the or any ambivalence that I've had has always been surrounded the carts. One of the things that was brought up yesterday was the fact that the City of St. John's tried something like this some years ago. That's in fact not true. It was 17 years ago. It was a completely different system. It was not an automated system. It was not a mobile cart system like these. They were comparing apples and potatoes. They were just so dissimilar. And it was using, quite frankly, 17-year-old technology. It wasn't the same at all. We're very confident that cities like Calgary and Halifax and others throughout the entire country have been successful with this. And as I said, I'm really pleased and eager to have this rolled out. And I thank Council for their kind remarks and for the support of this initiative. We will deal with the challenges. We will support residents. We will listen to their concerns, and we'll try to address them one by one to the best of our ability. And I think the residents of Mount Pearl should expect nothing different from us related to this initiative. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Does that conclude Public Works today, Councillor Walsh?
It does. Thank you very much.
It does. We're going to move on to Corporate Services. Councillor Aker is acting chair today, or is it not?
Community Services.
I'm sorry, Communities. Oh, I've got Corporate Services up there. How did I do that?
You do both anyway.
I jumped ahead. I'm sorry. Let me apologize. Community Services first. Deputy Mayor Locke, if you would. Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries. Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to firstly start off by commenting on how great three of our colleagues look around the council table. I know they say the camera adds 10 pounds, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. Councillor Ledwell, Councillor Soils, and our Mayor, His Worship Sims.
We're all after money, you know that.
Well,
We look
you know,
pretty good too, though.
no, but Councillor Walsh, you always look good,
And
as does Councillor Aker. But I just want to comment on.
We're driven by greed, Deputy Mayor. We're driven by
I don't think
greed.
so. I think that was the impetus. But I just want to comment. I know you guys have been working hard, so I just want to acknowledge it publicly.
Thank
you guys, you look great, and
Deputy Mayor.
I'm delighted to see how this, this new challenge has.
This is a new makeover.
Absolutely.
See how
Good
it
segue.
ends. See how it
Mount
ends.
Pearl makeover too.
Dealing from one makeover to another, and one issue dealing with garbage to another. The first item here, Worship, has to do with our 20-minute makeover. An annual event here. This year it's from April the 28th until June the 30th. And Department of Community Services, again, is gearing up. This is our anti-litter campaign. And again, with the beautiful day that we have out there today, the disappearance of the snow, one of the downsides is that it uncovers a lot of litter that has accumulated over the fall and the winter months. So this is our annual initiative to try to get individuals, groups, schools, and businesses to get outside. We call it the 20-minute makeover because if we could get all residents to participate for 20 minutes, you would be amazed at how much garbage and litter we can pick up. Like the saying goes, many hands make light work. I've been involved with this now for many years through the school system where students come out, and it's incredible what you can, again, for the sake of 20 minutes, if you could extend it to an hour, you'd be amazed at the litter that's picked up. And then what a great difference it makes when you're walking around on our sidewalks or you're walking or bike riding on our trails. It's just nice to see a clean environment, So it's a great initiative here. I just want to acknowledge again that Tim Hortons once again has come on as the major sponsor. They've been there every year. They're providing $2,000 in cash, as well as T-shirts, prizes, and refreshments. The kickoff is Saturday, April 28th, 9 to 10 a.m. at the Reed Community Center, Your Worship. And Tim Hortons is usually there with some staff. They provide T-shirts, coffee, tea, juice, little treats. We also have the garbage bags there. Usually there's gloves for the participants that they can go on and pick up their garbage. While the 28th is the kickoff, however, this does extend from the 28th of April until June 30th. So anytime our residents want to get out, no one will ever get mad with them for picking up some litter. Just to note here that free bags are also available at City Hall and the Reed Community Centre, and special 20-minute makeover bags and flyers will also be distributed through the Tim Hortons drive-thrus in Mount Pearl starting on April 21st. Just to note that registration with the city is not mandatory, but it certainly is appreciated in that it helps us manage and measure our success. So again, schools, businesses, groups, neighborhoods, families, individuals, they can register their event by contacting Mr. Sean McKenna here at the city, or pick up any registration forms at City Hall or the Reed Community Centre, or they can register online at www.mountpearl.ca. And as a thank you for participation, participants will be recognized on our website following the event. And this is just for information purposes. I was trying to remember the volume that we picked up last year, and 5,000 bags comes to mind. Anyone know if that's accurate, or no? We had a count, but it was a significant.
I can't recall the number, but I think you're shooting holes in it or something like that.
Yeah, it was quite a lot. And again, the beauty of the sunshine. I had my bike out yesterday, so I bike rode down through our pathways, and there's some areas where litter has accumulated. And I'm hoping now with this new collection system that Councillor Walsh had just brought in, that it will reduce some of it, but certainly not all the litter comes from household garbage strewn about. And again, I want to take this time to emphasize to the residents that the city is not our city on council. It's everyone's city, and we all got to do our part to keep this thing clean. I had the fortune of visiting Europe over the Easter break there. And one thing that struck me in the UK and in France was just how clean it is. And it's a cultural thing. It's that people take ownership of their outdoor spaces. They see them as their spaces and not something for someone else to be looking after. So we all have to do our part there, because I've witnessed it, and people have told me where people just throw their fast food bags of garbage out the windows, on our sidewalks, on our streets and stuff like that. So this is a start to try to beautify our community. We do have a pearl of a community here. It's a gem it's absolutely beautiful, our walking trails and our river system. We just got to keep the crap and the garbage out of the environment. So, just to put that, yep.
Very much to that. Councillor Stoyles?
Your Worship, I was wondering if we send letters out to the businesses, because you referred to the businesses, and especially on Old Placentia Road. I mean, when you come across one side of Placentia Road, there's a chain link fence, and the fence going all the way down just about the residents' garden door. We have the fence there, and of course it just, the wind brings it over and it just lays up there, and residents have said to me, look, I've picked it up for years and years and I'm just sick of it, because I pick it up one week and it's gone again. I'm just wondering if we couldn't write, especially the businesses on Old Placentia Road, because there's a fair number of businesses and grocery stores and everybody. I don't want to single out any specific business, but there is several businesses that are flyers or out, or cups are out, and you can see the ones that all you got to do is walk along Old Placentia Road, and you can see them every time you walk. And I've been out walking a fair bit here lately, and every time I'm walking, someone recognises me and sees me, and they says, look, what do you think of that? When are you going to clean that up? And last week when I was out, our staff was in the truck. Actually, I think it was last Wednesday. It was really nice, and our staff was out picking up the garbage in the walkways and going down and cleaning them all up. And of course, I think we should be writing the businesses in, especially in all in Mount Pearl, anywhere that there's a business and there's a large compile of garbage that comes from them businesses. We should be getting them to do it, and I would like for us to take action in that way. Yes, it's great to get the residents out, and I've gone out the past number of years with the 20-minute makeover, with the clean up of the Waterford River and that, but I think we need to hit the businesses harder, and if it's their stuff, maybe we should look at putting some kind of a fine in place and charge them.
Thank you. Councillor Raker?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I agree with Deputy Mayor Locke. This is a great initiative. I also agree with you, Councillor Stoyles, when it comes to the businesses. But I think in some respect, we're letting some of our residents off the hook. It's a cultural thing. When I go by, I think, the schools today, I was out for a run at lunchtime, and there is cartons, there is waste paper, waste, there's everything everywhere. And I know that comes from the businesses, but really it's coming from the people who purchase, the consumers. And I think the makeover, I think we have to encourage more and more of our residents to get out and get involved because, you know, the businesses, like, thank God Tim Hortons will put in some money. You know, I think they recognize the problem, that some of the trash is coming from the businesses. But we've really got to put the onus on, and I agree with Councillor Stoyles on this, on the businesses, but also on the individuals who consume the products and leave the garbage just blowing in the wind. And of course, this time of the year, what we're seeing is an accumulation of the litter that's accumulated for all winter.
Right.
This will improve, but to Deputy Mayor Locke's point earlier on, it's a cultural problem. I don't think people really give a darn, to be honest with you. I'm not saying everybody, but many people don't, right? You know what I mean? So I hope we'll see a better turnout for the makeover, and I wish the city good luck with it.
Hear, hear. Okay. Item 2.
Thank you, Your Worship. The next one, committee is requesting approval to award the quotation for the provision of audiovisual equipment for City Day celebrations of 2012 to Atlantic Audio Limited. They were the lowest qualified bidder, and their amount was $14,125, HST included, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Councillor Aker had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody had a question? Go right ahead, Councillor Aker. I never saw you.
Was there only, how many bids were there? That's all I was curious about. Was there only one submission, or?
There were 3, were there not?
You said 3, was it?
There were 3.
There was 3, so it was. I know it's a competitive process when it
Yes.
goes out there, but
Right.
it's nice to see when you get multiple bids. You know there was a bit of competition. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
That's it. So that's it for community services. So I can jump right into corporate services.
All right, if you
Okay,
want, go
yep.
right for that.
All right. Our first item here, Your Worship, is a tax exemption request from the School Lunch Association, and that's for its location at Mary Queen of the World School on Tulsa Road. Since the School Lunch Association is indeed a registered charitable organization, this exemption is within our policy here at the city. So committee is recommending approval of the application for exemption of this tax in the amount of $646.65, and I so move.
Moved and seconded by Councillor Aker. Question or comment? All in favor? Aye-minded, motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, has to do with the gas tax funding agreement, annual expenditures and outcomes report, year ended December 31st, 2011. I think it's in your Dropbox here, the report. And we're recommending the approval of this annual expenditures and outcome report. This was audited by Harris Ryan Chartered Accountants. We're in compliance, everything is in order, so I'm recommending approval of this report.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Aker. Question, comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
And the last item for me, Your Worship, are the invoices for approval. We have 11 listed here, and they total $1,564,889.03, and I move that these amounts be accepted as presented.
Moved and seconded. Invoices 1 through 11. Questions on any? Comments on any? Hearing none, we'll call it. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Thank you, Your Worship.
And that concludes corporate services. We're up to economic development. Economic development, Councillor Stoyles.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first on the agenda is the annual report from the Planning Department. As Chair of Economic Development, I have a copy of the report to present to Council today. It's a lovely report, lovely glossy report, and of course it's available here at City Hall. I'm going to highlight some of the initiatives and the information that's in it. Relating to economic development, of course, we've had a great year this year with 81 new businesses and creating 630 new jobs, and with a total of over 1,100 businesses with over almost 15,000 employees here in the city of Mount Pearl. This report gives, I guess, a description of every job and all the workings within the Department of Planning and Economic Development. Last year we took on a couple of new initiatives. We formed a couple of new committees. Affordable housing, as Council saw a need for affordable housing within the city. A committee was formed and they've met 6-7 times, and they were quite busy, and a number of things came out of that where
Well, including we're doing a development now.
we're doing development, and we partnered with a developer, and would like to say that we're going to have affordable housing built hopefully within this coming year, start within this coming year anyway. We also formed a new Commerce Committee for people coming to the city, which was another initiative under economic development. We completed the municipal plan, and that was something that was ongoing for a number of years. The Waterford River, of course, the cleanup that was under the planning department, and that's going to be continued again this year. Permits and applications and all kinds of things like that. Anybody applying for anything, that all happens under economic development. And just wanted to say that Councillor Aker chairs the planning department, and of course I chair economic development, and Councillor Walsh sits on economic development with me, as to Councillor Aker Councillor Lovewell sat on planning with Councillor Aker. And just want to say that anybody interested in getting the report, they can get that City Hall, or we do have it on our website, and it's a lot of information there for anybody who's interested or finding anything else out about the planning department. Councillor Aker, I don't know if you want to speak to, I want to mention anything about it, anything I missed on planning, but I just wanted to say that it's something that we take turns bringing in every year, and Councillor Aker, the chair of the planning department, brought in last year, so as chair of economic development, I'm bringing it in this year. So Councillor Aker.
Thank you. Councillor Aker.
Thank you, Councillor Stoyles, and your worship, of course. As chair of the Planning and Land Use Committee, I guess we tug at the staff. We pull them one way and we pull them the other way, trying to get the economic development piece done, trying to get the planning piece done. And I must commend the department. They make a great contribution to the city. This city wouldn't be what it is today without the staff, and of course the support of council too, with regards to planning and development. The report highlights only some of the stuff they do. Their value to the city goes much deeper than, say, 5 or 6 or 25 or 30 pages, but at the same time, I want to acknowledge the staff behind the report for the job that the good job that they do. So congratulations, Director Yevchuk. Would you pass it on to your staff?
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Councillor Stoyles.
Thank you. The next item we have, your worship, is another committee actually that was formed back almost 25 years ago. Mayor Mr. Morarty passed away from heart failure, and M&L took on a cause, and it's almost 25 years ago. And back the past number of years, Mount Pearl hadn't taken part in it, and when we go out to our conventions and everything, all the towns in the province is asked to help out with the Heart and Stroke Foundation, and it's called the Mayor's March. This year, our committee on economic development, we struck a committee, and myself and Councillor Walsh took the project on, and we're looking at aiming at, we've sent a letter out to roughly 100 businesses, and we have some funding coming in, and we're going to be contacting businesses, but basically what we're doing is a fundraiser for the Heart and Stroke Foundation, and we're certainly delighted to be able to take part in it, and it's a great initiative from M&L. And when we go out to the convention this year, I think it's important, especially a city the size of Mount Pearl, when you get small communities coming in and helping the Heart and Stroke Foundation and big communities like Mount Pearl not taking part. I saw a need that we should be doing something and showing our support, and myself and Councillor Walsh will be taking that on along with yourself, Mayor Sims, and we're looking forward to passing over a cheque to them when we go to the convention in October. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say. It's just mostly for information only.
Hopefully we'll do well.
Yeah.
Hopefully we will
Well,
do
if our
well,
business community supports us, we will do well.
and we hope our business community will support us. And
So
I think
far,
it's
so
great.
good.
So far, so good. The next item is congratulations to all the new businesses. So far this year we had 22 businesses open with 80 new employees, and the list, of course, is there and on our website as well, and a lot of home-based businesses, which is great. And also Also, Your Worship, when I was doing my report on the planning, I talked about secondary signs. Back last year on Opposite Road, we had a new initiative to bring in some secondary signs, and we have two on Pitts Memorial Drive. I said Opposite Road, but it's Pitts Memorial Drive. These signs were put up just a number of months ago, and they're looking really good. And now we're in the process of moving forward. We have money in the budget for the next number of years. So this year we're going to be putting two other signs up, secondary signs. This is phase 2, and these two locations are going to be on Kenmount and Mount Carson, and Bruce Street and Kenmount coming into Mount Pearl. And then hopefully the following year we will add more signs. But this is a great initiative from economic development. The signs look lovely, and the design of the signs have been done through our community services department. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Moving on to engineering services, Councillor Lidwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have 4 items on our agenda this evening, and I first wanted to give an update on the status of the softball hut at the Team Guju Recreation Complex. Of course, with our weather turning very nice now, undoubtedly, certainly the gentlemen in our softball league are looking forward to participating, as well as the ladies are certainly looking forward, I'm sure, to using this new facility. Basically, the roof, the building construction is progressing very well down there. The roof shingling started on April 9th, and it will continue as weather permits. The siding is slightly delayed. There's siding on a portion of the building, but right now we're waiting on 3 or 4 doors to arrive before we can put the rest of the siding on, but that should not take too much longer, about 4 weeks, I believe. As well, mechanical and electrical contracts, they were scheduled to close on Friday, April 13th. That's been delayed a little bit. They're actually going to close this week due to some changes in the kitchen and storage area. So work is progressing very well. The anticipated closing date is still the end of July. So we anticipate that at some point this year the softball hut will be ready down there, and our softball leagues will be able to move down and use the facility. So we're certainly looking forward to that.
Amen to that. Thank you.
The second item on our agenda today is to do with 2nd Street. And of course, there was an inquiry that was received recently by Council as to the safety of having parking on both sides of 2nd Street. And that was discussed at our Council meeting, Committee of the Whole, on March 20th. Basically, staff in the Engineering Services Department were instructed to go out and determine if the street was indeed wide enough to allow for parking on both sides of the street. It was determined that it was not indeed wide enough to allow parking on both sides of the street. So the decision has been made to limit parking to one side and to place no parking signs on one side of the street. Given that there is a path that comes between Roosevelt Avenue and 2nd Street, rather than having people who use that pathway walk out in between parked cars, we've decided that we're going to use the no parking on that on the side from the even numbers there from 2 to 36 to try and keep our residents safe that way. There will be letters that are going out to the residents of the area to advise them of the no parking signs going up, and the signs will follow within a couple of weeks after that. That's for the information of Council.
Okay, thank you.
So, Your Worship, it's only
Councillor Stiles.
it's only from 2 to 36. It's not the whole street, right?
Yes, that's correct, from numbers 2 to 36 on the even side of the street.
Okay, thank you. Carry on, Councillor
Okay.
Lidwell.
Our third item on our agenda is related to the Mount Carson project, the Mount Carson Avenue realignment that I spoke about earlier. Basically, as I said, the project is scheduled to start on May 7th, and the general public is reminded that the speed limit up in that area is, in fact, 50 kilometers per hour. And certainly that goes right up the road past Masonic Park, and as we continue on out on Kenmount Road. This is a very, it's very important that we stick to the speed limit, because we have now an intersection at the intersection of the entrance there of Masonic Park, and we have residents who are entering and leaving the park, so we need to keep that in mind as we go up there. And so I encourage residents to stay to the speed limit of 50 kilometers per hour. In the interim, we're going to be making arrangements through our municipal enforcement to put a traffic calmer up there, just to further promote the idea of keeping our speed down as we go through and keeping our residents safe in that area. And again, it's tabled for the information of Council and for our residents.
Thank you. I'm assuming we'll get lines up there really soon?
That's certainly the goal.
That is really a priority area. Deputy Mayor.
Speaking of Mount Carson there and this project that Councillor Ledwell is speaking of, I had some questions from a couple of residents about at the top of Mount Carson where the pavement is a little rough. Is there a work plan for that this year?
The whole thing will be
The
paved.
whole thing. So right from Masonic Park down. That's
There's
my
only an
understanding.
initial layer there now.
Yeah, that's why I said to be. So.
The whole
The
thing.
top coat's
yeah,
not done.
the top
Right.
coat
So
will
just
not
let
be
people
done.
know that
Yeah.
for those that are concerned about the bumps, that will all be done from say Masonic
They're
Park
gonna have a
right down.
beautiful- They're going to have a beautiful brand new street, sidewalks on both sides, and it's going to be when it's finished. It's like what they suffered at Park Avenue, Deputy Mayor.
It'll be well worth it.
It'll be well worth it.
Absolutely.
At-
Okay,
at
just
the
wanted to
end of the
clarify that.
process, It'll be well worth it.
Thank you, Your Worship.
And to get the lines painted, because people trying to get into Masonic, as you know, I have family there now, and I visit regularly, getting in and out of there right now with no lines, it is a little scary, because you've got traffic behind you thinking they can go to the right of you, and you don't know where that line is when you pull over, where you're supposed to be when there's traffic coming at you. Right. It's a priority for us to get that in there. Anyway, Councillor Ledwell.
Absolutely. Thank you, Your Worship. Just one more item on our agenda this afternoon, and it's to do with our street upgrading, which is the continuation of our 2011 work. Basically, the street upgrading for this coming season is scheduled to start this week, as a matter of fact, and I've gotten word from Engineering Services that it has in fact started. Basically, we're starting with the areas Donovan Street, Keogh Crescent, Woodford Drive, and Woodford Place. And of course, for the information of residents and council, the Donovan Street project will also include the repairing of the underground water lines. We've known there's been some issues with the water pressure in that area. So one of the reasons why we wanted to start with Donovan Street was because of those issues, and we're hoping to get those fixed as quickly as possible. Basically, the residents have all been provided with this brochure, a copy of this brochure, which details some information on our street upgrading program for this year. And certainly, if the questions are not answered by this brochure, they can feel free to contact the Engineering Services Department at the numbers that are provided here. And certainly, we'll deal with whatever challenges as best we can as they come up.
I met with some residents on Donovan's on the weekend, on Donovan Street, at a social event. And if councillors are feeling down and you'd like to get a free hug, you can go to Donovan right now. The people there have been so anxious to see if they can get something done with water pressure that they are beyond excited about the fact that this is finally going to be tackled this year. So it's, if you want to feel good about what you're doing, have a run down Donovan Street. That'll make you feel good. Councillor Ray.
Yeah, quick comment, Your Worship. I think this also includes Woodford Place.
Yes,
And
It
I think
does,
that's been
correct.
an ongoing issue with the removal of the island. I think it's going to get done. So I'm glad to see that that's going to happen. I'm sure the residents over there will be equally
Oh,
pleased.
this is going
Thank
to be
you.
a big improvement for that entire area over there when it's done.
Absolutely.
Does that conclude engineering services?
It does indeed.
Councillor Edwell, thank you. Planning and land use development, Councillor Aker, we might as well keep you on your feet.
Thank you, Your Worship. And let's take her to the end of the game here now. The first item, the Waterford River cleanup blitz. And it's interesting, Deputy Mayor Locke was talking earlier on about the Mount Pearl makeover. We're planning another blitz this year in partnership with the Conservation Corps. It focuses around the Waterford River, and we partnered with the Conservation Corps last year. I believe it was in July, and this came out primarily out of the meeting we had with residents who were affected by flooding along the Waterford River. The idea was, let's get into the river, let's see if there's any garbage in there. And I'm not talking just now wrappers from businesses and the like. I'm talking about, is there fridges and stoves in there and stuff that might be smaller, right? So this year, we're going to focus again on the Waterford River, and we're going to focus in the area of the Commonwealth Avenue Bridge or downstream from Twin Falls. It hasn't been finally decided. We want to do it in June because we feel that's the best time of the year to do it, with the vegetation and the grass haven't really taken hold. And we'll be able to get in there and do a better cleanup. We're looking, of course, for support from the community, like usual. Girl Guide groups, service clubs, schools, businesses, residents. If anybody wants to help out, it's 10 o'clock on Saturday, June 2nd, and there's a barbecue to follow. I believe it'll be at City Hall. I'd like to invite all of council to come by and help out. Your Worship, maybe you could host the barbecue, and hopefully there'll be a great turnout. Lots of fun cleaning up, and lots of hot dogs afterwards. So that's for the information of council.
Thank you. And do we have to make a motion on that?
I don't think there's any funding involved at this point.
There seems to be a recommendation here that that we confirm the plans for 2012. It's in the form of a motion.
We need a motion? When?
According to the the city planner, Mr. Yafchek, so
And I so move.
so
Your
you'll
worship.
move it then as a motion.
Seconded.
It'll be seconded by Councillor Ledwell. We're all gonna go there and participate if we're in town, obviously, so all those in favor? Contrary-minded motion is carried.
Thank you. Next item is an application for site work and pedestrian access, and it pertains to two properties, one on Topsail Road and one on Corey King Drive. These properties are adjoining each other. The Topsail Road property is zoned mixed development and generally is being used as a retail business. The Corey King Drive right now includes car storage, and basically it's a large piece of property. It's fairly flat, a little bit of an incline, surrounded by a berm, so basically you cannot see what's inside. It's zoned light industrial, and I might add that auto recycling was previously approved for that particular site. So the business owner at 1206 to 1210 Topsail Road would like basically to utilize his business as a front end there, provide parking to customers, and what they would do is pedestrians would go from in a northward direction, right, to the back of the parking lot on Topsail Road, and cross through the berm, and on display there will be 25 cars. Now I could politely say that they're nice used cars, but realistically these are car wrecks. The applicant is looking for permission to put 25 cars there, and then the customers would come in basically and pick off the parts. The parts would be sold, customers would go home. Hey, it's a good form of recycling. We want to make sure, though, all this use is permitted. We want to make sure, however, that the berm is still maintained, so that when you're driving by Topsail Road or on Topsail Road, you won't see it. So the berm will be carved out, but it'll be carved out in such a way that you cannot see it from behind, right? And of course, the landscaping must be maintained. And so my motion is approval of the application, and is subject to having the recycling yard screened from visibility along Topsail Road, and of course according to the departmental requirements listed there. And I so move.
Moved,
Seconded.
seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Question or comment? Hearing none, we'll call it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded, motion carried.
Thank you. Next is a change of use at 853 and 855 Topsail Road. We have two parcels of land. And on the parcel of land, I believe it's 853 Topsail Road, we have a mobile trailer repair business. And they want to now start doing sales from that site as well. So the front of these properties, oh sorry, I should have added, Your Worship, they also want to consolidate the two lots into one. Okay. The front area of both these properties is zoned mixed development. So basically an automotive sales use as well as an automotive or repair type use is permitted. The rear area along the back of these properties is in basically the Waterford River flood zone and buffer. Okay, and that is zone conservation, whereby it means that no development would be permitted under the conservation zone. Now there's a multitude of issues here, and it all has to do with the history. So we're bringing this forward today to see if we can get council's approval to resolve all these issues, as well as give the owner of this property the permission to operate the business as proposed. Issue number one, there's an accessory building that's on the site that has not been permitted. There was a permit a few years ago for demolition of an existing accessory building, but now they've gone ahead and demolished the building, but they put a new one in place. Rather than think of it purely from a punitive point of view, let's have a look at the building, which is 35 meters square. If you look at our development regulations, we would allow a building up to 7% of the lot size or 50 square meters, and that particular building there would meet that requirement. The second issue is that there's been fill placed at the rear of the property. Now, this fill basically is being dumped. You can check the city map right on our website. This fill is being dumped, I guess, to extend the parking area for the trailers. But the result is it's going into the Waterford River buffer as well as the flood zone. And this is a serious matter, because what happens then is the water comes into the river, especially during stormy times. The ability of the water to be absorbed by the basin there before the bridge is lessened, and as a result, homes that are on the southern side of the Waterford River sometimes tend to get flooded. So we want to make sure that any fill that's been placed there is removed. And basically, what the previous development permit said was the first 80 meters from the front of the property towards the back can be developed. And beyond 80 meters, nothing can be developed. And the purpose of that was to ensure that basically there was no development in the conservation zone. Okay? The final issue is the third issue, is the parking lot landscaping that was previously required is not done. So we want to resolve all these issues. My motion is to approve, subject to, of course, the departmental requirements, but also, before we do anything, the fill must be removed immediately from the flood zone and buffer, right, from the 80-meter line back, right, in accordance with the previous development permit. All right. If we don't do that, all we're end up doing here is enhancing the flooding in the area. We should get security to our security, I should say, should include 100% of the landscaping requirement to ensure that when this sales building or sales business is put there, we need to ensure that there's security there to ensure the landscaping requirement is done. And I don't know how council feels, but quite often it perturbs me when businesses go ahead and they do things without permission. Our development regulations are there for a purpose. They're not there just to create a bureaucracy. I think we had an issue like this back in December, and basically what I think council recommended was that we write a letter to the applicant expressing our displeasure. So those are three of the things I'd like for council to consider in putting the motion. I think we should approve this, subject to the conditions as outlined, and I so move.
Second. Move. Seconded. Question or comment, Councillor Walsh?
Yes, just a question for Councillor Aker. This particular development, if you look at the map that's there now, it seems that a quick guess would say 25 or 30 trailers are parked behind or beyond. Yeah, beyond the 80-meter development area. And I know this business has been operating there for quite some time as a repair business, and they've been utilizing that land. So are you saying that if we approve this development, that the area, even where they're parking now, which seems to be above the area of the flood zone, by the way, if that demarcation, the orange line is a line that's delineating the flood zone, are you saying then that can't be used for storage or parking or in any way as part of the development? Because obviously that is a form of development.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That development, a lot of it occurred prior to 2003. So in a sense, that's grandfathered in. But there was a permit issued, I think it was in October of 2003, and as part of that, it was, this is when the 80-meter line got drawn. It said that there will be no development. I think that's the first time we notified the owner of the property there will be no development beyond that.
No further development?
No further development beyond the 80-meter point at the back of the lot. So therefore, what we would do basically is any fill that's been placed there since 2003, we would request that be removed. I think it would be unfair to ask for fill that was replaced there. I think this might be some of your point prior to 2003, because essentially that was done, if not with the permission of the city, it was still done, and nobody objected to it.
If I could again, supplement.
Councillor Walsh, yes, supplement question.
I don't want to
Answer your question?
somewhat. But this is, if the approval for this business would be a very, very mixed blessing, obviously, because it eliminates quite a bit of storage area. When you're talking about grandfathering, are we talking about grandfathering the existing development behind it, and because there's a new development application, which is a new form of development, would that then eliminate the grandfathering? Is that what you're suggesting? Because that would obviously very much adversely. I would agree with the 80-meter buffer and restricting it to the development on the front street for the new development. I think that makes an abundance of sense. But if it's been operating a business behind the property outside of the floodplain area for quite a number of years, it would seem to be, as I said, a very much a mixed blessing, giving him permission but restricting even what was grandfathered previously, restricting that to 80 meters. That's going to be a problem for him, I think.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to. Your Worship? Sorry.
That's quite all right. Just sit up.
Okay. No, I guess the way we looked at it in committee is that basically the line, pardon the pun, was drawn back in 2003. So the business that existed there at the time, it was okay to park the trailers so far out into land, basically landfill that was placed there over the years. But in 2003, it was recognized that no further development of the area should proceed. So
was he not out there before 2003?
No, there's been fill placed there since. City staff have confirmed it. So just to be clear, what we want to do here is we would ask them to remove that fill that's been placed there since 2003. Now, it may not be very easy, determine exactly which fill is there. But staff have a pretty good idea. They can see from some dumping that's been done of asphalt and some other fill what's fairly new. And I think on the principle alone, we should at least ask them to remove the fill that's gone in there since 2003. I don't think I'd be in favor of saying let's remove all the fill that was placed there over the years, and that's why I use the word grandfather. Unfortunately, what's done is done, and I use the word unfortunately very clearly, because the more sediment that was placed there along the banks, the less the Waterford River Basin really had to absorb land during flood peaks and the like, right?
When you constricted water flow.
You did, right? So I think as a city, since at least in terms of drawing the line in 2003 at the 80-meter line there, I think we should basically ask this business to remove the fill that's gone there since then.
So,
Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor Loughlin, Councillor Slough.
Just to follow what Councillor Walsh question here, I'm looking at this aerial view as well, and I see we have the 80-meter line coming back, and then there's a horizontal line, white line coming across there.
That's the 80 meters.
That's so we got, like Councillor Wallace indicated, probably 25 or 30 trailers there. Right. Are you recommending that none of those trailers be permitted to be stored outside the 80 meters? And my question is, how far back, I guess it's not demarcated here, I'm looking at a black hatched line as well on the map. Yes. What does that indicate? What boundary is that? And are you recommending that these 25 to 30 trailers be removed from that up into the adjoined building lots there? Is that what the recommendation is?
No, we're not recommending that they remove the trailers. I think the hashed line is the separation between the conservation area and the mixed development zone.
Okay, that's a lot clearer for me.
Yeah. But no, we wouldn't ask them to remove the trailers. But the issue for me is not so much the trailers; it's the land that's been placed there since we drew that 80-meter line. So there's been more since 2003 when we drew that line. There's been more fill placed in the flood buffer and the flood zone.
I guess I wonder how much more.
Yeah, I'm assuming, Councillor Aker, that if we ask them to remove the fill,
Right.
then we are taking away a significant portion of the parking that they now have behind that 80-meter line. I'm assuming that the fill was put there for the purposes of creating a parking lot where they're parking trailers.
Yeah, but it was. But I understand that the fill that's been placed there since 2003 is not that great. It's some fill, but not that great. I think Director Yevchuk can answer that.
Stephanie Yevchuk. Sir.
Your Worship, thank you very much. Just for clarification, what you have on the map here is the white lines show the boundary and the 80-meter setback.
Yeah.
The black dotted line is the actual 15-meter buffer. That 15-meter buffer between. If you look at your drawing, there's also then a black line, a solid black line just below it. I'm going to say that's the 1 in 100 year flood zone. And then the orange or red color line is the 1 in 20 year flood zone. So as you look at your map, the 80 meters back, that's what was approved back in 2003. The individual has expanded the operation to the back. Some of it is not within the flood zone or the buffer. A good portion of it is in the buffer. Just outside the 1 in 100 year flood zone. So that just to clarify in terms of the relationship between the development and the various boundaries on the map.
Okay, so sorry.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, go ahead
around
again.
this. So the material that we're requesting them to remove, would it include all material between the 15-meter buffer and the 1 in 100 year flood? Is that? I'm just trying to get a visual as to what we're asking them to remove. It's not demarcated here on this map as to what they've deposited since 2003. So is there any way we can get a description of that?
Your Worship, I don't have it with me, but I can certainly, if the Council wishes to defer this, we can certainly give you that information for the next meeting. And then that could
might
answer.
Be, given the questions that are being asked, that might be advisable. Councillor Aker, do you have any opposition with perhaps accepting
No,
the
not at all.
request?
No, we're trying to strike a balance here between what the obligation of the owner of the property was
Yep.
versus what was allowed.
Right. I see the challenge, and I understand where
Yeah.
you're trying to go. And
Yeah.
I'm not
No,
even,
that's fine.
I'm not
Yeah.
even going to
Question
suggest
I had
we disagree with you on it, but a deferral might be a good idea. Before we do that, though,
Yeah,
Councillor,
I'm okay with that.
Councillor Stoyanis?
Well, some of the questions I wanted to ask, because I'll be asked, because Deputy Mayor Black asked them, but one question hasn't been brought up and one of the questions I wanted to find out was, is this going to be at the owner's expense? But how do we know he put all the fill there? Maybe somebody else dumped some of the fill. Do we know that? I mean, is he? I'm asking the question. I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I don't think it matters.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
So
I
he's
don't
going to
think
be
it matters.
responsible for cleaning up the fill,
No
and
matter who put it there.
he might not even
It's
put
his
it there.
property, he would be
It's
responsible.
his property. He would be responsible. I was just wondering
Yeah.
if he had put the whole. I mean, if he had
That
put
part is, I can say comfortably to you, would be the responsibility of the owner currently to remove the fill, whether he put it there or not.
the other questions. I think Councillor Deputy Mayor Locke had asked.
Your Worship and Council,
You want to move a deferral?
I'm prepared to move to deferral.
I'm going to move a deferral. Councillor Ludwell, you
Second.
okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Question on the deferral. Does anybody wish to speak to it, or will I call it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary motion, contrary to the motion, this is carried. This will come back then on our next public agenda in 2 weeks hence. Everybody okay with that? Mr. Yevchek, that's good?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Councillor Ager. We'll move
So
on.
just to clarify, what we're trying to do here is just basically ascertain the amount of fill that's been placed there that is contrary to the development permit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fair
I understand
statement.
where you're going with it.
Yep.
Yeah. fine.
All right, the next item, Your Worship, is an application to construct a house. This is at 11 Park Avenue. This property is a fairly deep lot, and of course it's adjacent to Avery Place, which is where a new subdivision was placed in the city
Yep.
a couple of years ago. The issue here is really that the lot is not large enough to accommodate a house. The house proposed would basically have would require, I should say, a front line setback of 7.5 meters. It would require a rear yard depth of 8 meters. Unfortunately, from Avery Place, if you look at Avery Place, which would be the frontage of this new house, the depth of the lot is only 17.4 meters. So according to our current development regulations, it would only allow $1.9 million for development. In addition, there's a brook at the end of at the rear of the property, as well as a trunk sewer line too. That the city is aware is there, but nobody's exactly sure where it is. And in the development, in the application, we weren't given an indication of exactly what type of a house and its exact size. It's pretty well firmed up, in general sense. But what I'd like to do is make a motion to refuse the permit, primarily based on the fact that really this house would not achieve the front and rear yard setbacks required by the city's development regulations. And I so move.
Moved, seconded. Question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Yes, the next item, Your Worship, is an occupancy permit as it relates to 1 Riverview Avenue. This is to occupy a building there, which is in the residential high-density zone. And generally, this workshop would not be permitted in that zone. There is a history with this property in which a similar business has operated, but ceased to operate as of December 2010. And in accordance with the Urban and Rural Planning Act, once a use is discontinued for more than 6 months, basically there's no right to resume that use. So the owner of the building has applied to operate a business there, and we've reviewed it at committee. Essentially what we're doing here today is recommending refusal because it doesn't meet the requirements of a residential high-density zoning. This area too is along Riverview Avenue, is a mixture of residential houses, the former school property for the Park Avenue School. There's some commercial businesses there. Some are operating as warehouses and some are operating as other types of businesses. The city does have a view in the longer run to establish a vision for this neighborhood, probably through a charrette process, which would involve all of the stakeholders and all of the owners down there as to what to do with this particular building. But right now what we're doing is recommending refusal. And basically what we'll do in the charrette or the focus group is determine what vision the city has for the intended uses down there. I might add too that the Park Avenue site has been tendered for sale. I'm not sure quite yet if it's been sold, but it's unlikely that that site will get used for a school. So maybe down the road, that site could be more housing, for example. So I'd like to move that we refuse this application for the occupancy permit at 1 Riverview Avenue.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Your Worship, while the municipal plan for Mount Pearl, the one that was put through in 2010, was going through, there were a number of municipal plan and development regulations that were in progress. So I'm bringing forth to Council for consideration today basically 3 that we need to adopt, basically, because now that the plan is in place and the development regulations are in place, these are changes that have been approved to it. But I don't think they've been tabled because they were held in abeyance, waiting for the municipal plan and regulations to be adopted. You see them listed there. They are Development Regulation Amendment number 3 as it relates to residential accessory buildings. Yep. Development Regulation number 4, which is related to flanking street side yards, and as well Municipal Plan Amendment number 1, and Development Regulation Amendment number 5, which pertains to 291 Old Placentia Road. I'd like to move these, and basically this brings us up to date, which is a good thing. The plan is up to date, and all the amendments to date are up to date, and I so move.
It is moved. Seconded. Question or comment again? Hearing none. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, rescinding an order at 48 Bannister Street. An order was issued to clean up the rear of the property. The owner of the property has done the requested cleanup, and I move we rescind that order.
Moved, seconded. All in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried.
A couple of more items, Your Worship. One of them is the development permits list for the period April 2nd to the 13th. Permits number 18 through 22, and I so move.
Seconded.
Move the development list. All in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried.
And the final thing in this marathon, building permits for the period April 2nd to the 13th. Residential in the amount of $3,581,900 and commercial in the amount of $2,500, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's it.
Thank you so much, sir. I believe that concludes committee reports. We are now up to new business, and at our April 3rd meeting, we started on my left, so this week we're going to start on my right. Councillor Ledwell, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. This being Volunteer Week, I did want to say a few words on a number of initiatives that involve volunteers and the congratulating and thanking of volunteers. Certainly, we've got quite a volunteer community here in the city of Mount Pearl, and I think it's important that we thank each and every one of our volunteers. But on Saturday night past, there were a small number of volunteers who I think were bestowed the highest honor within the city of Mount Pearl, and that being nominated for Citizen of the Year. I know most of, if not all, council attended the event, and I just want to pass along congratulations to all of the nominees, including Roy Locke, Eric Beckett, Gail Britton, Sandy Hoysrat, the Church of the Good Shepherds, Shepherd Ladies of their Wednesday Cafe, and of course the individual who was selected as Citizen of the Year, Miss Christine Hennebury of the Arts Association here in Mount Pearl. A very heartfelt congratulations to all of those folks. A job well done. I've known Christine for a long time. She's a friend of mine, and I know the work that she does in the arts community. She's very much the driving force behind the arts community in our city. I'm very proud of her, and I know the city is as well. So congratulations to all those folks. It was a lovely evening, and of course we'd be remiss if we didn't also congratulate the Kinsman Club of Mount Pearl for once again putting off a fantastic event under the chairmanship of Richard Levandier, who's been chairing the Citizen of the Year event for a long time, and he perhaps deserves some sort of award for all the hours that he puts in for putting together that particular project. So kudos to all involved there. As well, on Sunday night past, I had the good fortune of attending the Community Sector Council Volunteer Recognition Night out at the CLB Armory, and there was 45 well-deserving volunteers that were recognized that night and received awards. It was a very nice evening with refreshments and some musical entertainment. I wanted to make mention of some Mount Pearl residents who had received some very nice awards that evening. First of all, our very own Sean McKenna on staff here with the City of Mount Pearl, through his involvement with Recreation Newfoundland and Labrador, received an award, so it's very nice to see Sean receive that. Also, I want to extend congratulations to Mr. Alec White, who, as a resident of Mount Pearl, received some recognition for his work with the Canadian Hard of Hearing Association. Betty Pennell and Pauline Osborne from our Seniors Independence Group were also presented with awards, and Miss Shirley Boone was presented with an award for her work with the Children's Wish Foundation. So big congratulations to all those folks. I know most of them, if not all of them, and I know that they do a lot of good work in our community, so I'd like for Council to congratulate them for sure.
Hear, hear.
Finally, another note of congratulations to another well-deserving volunteer, and that's Ms. Mary Holloway with the Special Olympics Mount Pearl. As most of the Council know, I've been involved with Special Olympics for a while, and I know that anybody who's been associated with Special Olympics and the Sport Alliance knows Ms. Holloway very well. She was nominated for an award through Recreation Newfoundland and Labrador. It's called the Bridging the Gap Award, and it's presented to volunteers who make significant contributions to the development of recreation opportunities for persons with a disability in an integrated setting. I'm very pleased to report that Mary was indeed selected for that award. She'll be receiving it on June 2nd. I know that the community of the Special Olympics Mount Pearl are very proud of her and all of the work that she does. So congratulations to Mary Holloway for receiving that prestigious award.
Thank you, sir, very much.
That's it for me.
Councillor Walsh.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I just want to, again, echo congratulations to these award winners, particularly Christine and all the nominees for Citizen of the Year. They're a really representative group, as you say, of a whole lot of people who give a lot of time in the community, and congratulations. I just want to highlight, Your Worship, on the week of, I think on the day of April the 8th, the Newfoundland and Labrador Soccer Association Canada Games team actually won what's referred to as the Groppoli Cup. They participated in a soccer tournament in Italy, of all places. That's quite a ways away. We have a number of Mount Pearl residents who are playing on that team, and they are Greg Furlong, Ryan Thistle, and Zach Mullen, but as well Harold Noseworthy, who's been a former executive member of the Mount Pearl Soccer Association. It was the team manager. So I'd just like to congratulate the entire team and recognize particularly these young people from our community who participated. Winning a soccer tournament in Europe is no small feat.
That's right.
It's a pretty big deal. So I'm sure they were on top of the world when they won that Groppoli tournament. And I just wanted to recognize them for that today. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
You win in Italy. You win in Italy. You can win anywhere. Can
Yes,
you?
absolutely.
Councillor Stoyles.
Yes, Your Worship, I have a number of things, and I too want to congratulate Christine Henneberry and all the other volunteers who was recognised on Saturday night. It was a lovely evening, and I'm delighted to see the supper back again, rather than just have drop in for wine cheese type thing. I think it was a nice touch to it, and it was a lovely evening. And again, hats off to all the volunteers that was there that night, and all the volunteers within the city of Mount Pearl. The other couple of things I wanted to mention, Your Worship, is of course to follow the leader. I wanted to say a big congratulations to Labrador. They were the big winners all across the province in the Follow the Leader campaign, and Nancy, I guess, was the one who came out on top from Labrador, and just wanted to say great job to her. Also, Your Worship, I have received an email from Mr. Pat Walsh. He's going to be given a presentation on family history and how to start your family tree at the Marine Institute next Tuesday, and he asked me to pass it along if any member of the public would like to go out there. It's at the Marine Institute at 7:30 next Tuesday, and I'm sure it's going to be a great evening for anyone looking at doing that sort of thing. And of course, Pat is chair of our Admiralty House, and he certainly has been doing a lot of great volunteer work also. Also, Your Worship, the Mount Pearl Connect Club, who I'm an honorary member, I'm proud to say, have been involved with the Mount Pearl Connect Club, I guess ever since I've been elected to council. And they're doing the Ladies' Night on May 23rd, and if anybody is interested in getting a ticket, they can certainly call me or any of the Connects, and they have a website as well. And it's always a sold-out event, and looking forward to attending that. Also, I wanted to mention, Your Worship, that this is the time of year when people get lawns damaged and things like that, and I wanted to say to them that if there was any damage on the lawns, during the winter with plows or anything, they can certainly call our Public Works Department, and we will send out somebody to have a look at it and see. Usually in the past, and we do repairs on lawns and things like that. It's normally not done until May or June, but we like to have everything in by, I guess, the end of May. So I wanted to mention that. And also, Your Worship, the Northeast Avalon Joint Council is meeting tomorrow night in Holyrood, and I wanted to mention that they meet monthly basis. And also, Your Worship, I've received a number of phone calls from Masani Park from people trying to figure out how to get in the housing in Mount Pearl, especially senior housing. And I took it on myself to go to Masonic Park and get their application form, and I've left it with Mona. And Masonic Park has their own office in the Freedom Hall building there as you come in Masonic Park. But now the city also has applications on hand here, and anybody is interested in looking to enter Masonic Park, the application is going to be left here at City Hall.
Give yourself 12 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, for a one-bedroom is a 6 to 8 year wait, and for a two-bedroom, these are the cottages now. This has got nothing to do with the nursing home itself that's run by Eastern Health. But the home itself is a one-bedroom apartment is a 6 to 8 year wait, and a two-bedroom is 10 to 12 year wait. So anybody thinking about, in the next 10 or 15 years wondering what they're going to do, it's certainly a lovely spot up in Masonic Park, and certainly encourage people to go and put their name in and do that. And the last thing I wanted to mention, Your Worship, is I guess a sore issue with me, and has been for, I guess, since the decision was made last year to take the hedge down. And I'm going to refer to the hedge on Bannister Street. And I'm just wondering, how long more are we going to have to wait before that hedge comes down? We already went through a hearing, and the gentleman lost the hearing, and part of the hedge is on city-owned property. And it's just, I know in the past I've spoken about it, and it's come back to me. A couple of people said, you got the hedge on the brain. Well, I don't have the hedge on the brain. The people in that area feel that, it's a danger to them. I've received at least 10 phone calls from the people down in that area concerning about the hedge. This is not my issue. This is the residents' issue. And the decision was made to take the hedge down. And I think we got to take action and go out and do it, because I don't know what to say to people when they come to me now and say, how long was it going to be? I don't know, because it's crazy. The hedge should have been down before the winter. And he was saying he's lying, and we were going back and forth and everything. Like I said, this is not my issue. This is not my concern. I'm bringing it forth from the residents, and I'm fed up with it, and I'm sick of it. And I don't know what to say to people anymore, because the hedge should be down. And as far as I'm concerned, we got to take action and go and take the hedge down. We've already decided it had to come down, that it was a danger. And one of these days, somebody's going to be knocked down there, and it's going to come back on the city. And I think we got to really take action and do it. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Yefchak, where are we on that hedge?
Your Worship, the last time there was discussion on the file, it was with their solicitor, there being the solicitor 20 Bannister Avenue. We were going to meet with the individual. That meeting hasn't taken place, but I certainly hear what Councillor Stoyles has said. This is now the time of year to start taking action, and we're going to take action. So we will be following up very shortly with the solicitor.
Are we in a position to take it down?
Well, the solicitor has indicated that if we do, they will charge us with trespassing.
Yeah, we don't care. Are we in a position after having a court ruling to take it down?
We have no court ruling.
I understood we did.
No, the appeal board said that the matter of the
appeal board ruling. I'll follow.
Yeah, the appeal board said that this was not an appealable item. That if it was a safety issue, then we have the right to take action to whatever action we deem necessary for the safety issue. But the particular section of the act that we used to take action, which was appealed, the appeal board says it was outside their jurisdiction. They did not say that we could go ahead and take down the field.
Does part of the hedge still remain on city property?
Yes.
There's a part of it that is on city property. Yes, Your
Okay.
Worship.
Can we not move forward then and remove that?
Well, we certainly could do that. Yes, Your Worship. Yep. If you wish.
Why wouldn't we do it all? It was a danger. Why wouldn't we just take the whole hedge down? If we determine that is traffic. I mean, in the winter time, we got the high snowbanks, and we know we have to deal with it. And in every street in Mount Pearl, we got to deal with it. But this is a one-off, as far as I know, in this incident. I mean, we have another hedge that we've gone, I've seen the correspondence back and forth that we've been dealing with. And to my understanding, the people who own that dwelling is out of the province working and has never been maintained. Back, I'm saying 12 or 13 years ago, when I brought this to council first, we let them cut it back. The year after, it was back bad again, we let them cut it back. And it goes on and on and on. If there was somebody there that was going to take care of the hedge and look after it, but the history has gone on and on far too long.
So the only issue is, do we instruct our staff to go and remove all remnants of the hedge that exist on any city property?
Can I make that
I
motion?
mean, that's the motion that can be made and can be entertained, I guess, if there's a seconder, and if we have leave of council.
I will make that
discussion.
motion right now, that hedge will come down as soon as we can get our staff out to do it ASAP.
And I'll second the motion, Your Worship. I think this is, I agree, Councillor Stoyles, in the sense that this has gone through a legal tribunal who basically say we're acting within our rights. The city has the legislative authority to act even when the ownership of a property is in private hands. It's a safety issue. And what's happening here now is my sense is that we've got a lawyer involved, and basically it's all just being tied up. It's not moving anywhere. I understand where her frustration is, and I'd be willing to support that motion. I think the only solution at the end of the day to the safety issue is for the hedge to be removed. Not cut down, let it regrow, for it to be removed.
No
Right?
different if you're violating, if I could, Your Worship.
Okay, just to make everything clear, we do have a motion on the floor. It is moved by Councillor Stoyles and seconded by Councillor Aker that the offending hedge on Bannister Street at 20 Bannister Street, all portions of it that currently grow within the city's land, on the city's land, will be removed at the very first opportunity, which I would think is...
Not just on the city's land.
The whole thing, I think, is the
hedge.
motion.
It's a danger.
Your Worship, if I could...
well, that's an issue for me. Okay. Okay, the issue, the motion then, because I've got to have the motion right. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Councillor
that's
Walker.
okay.
The motion's got to be right. You're moving a motion to have the hedge at 20 Bannister, that's the address, at 20 Bannister removed. Completely. Okay. While we have, all right, that's the motion. That is moved and seconded. Are you seconding that motion?
I am.
You are. Okay. Let's speak to the motion then. Councillor Walsh.
The reason I think that that's the only way to phrase the actual motion is simply this. Forget about where you are, whether the hedge is a danger or not, or how much of it is a danger or not. The fact of the matter is, if you built a hedge or a fence, or whatever you like, on your own private property, just because it's on private property, to your point, Councillor Aker, that doesn't mean that we can't enforce our own regulations. We regulate what can and can't be done on private property.
Yes,
We've asked this individual to comply, and he's tied it up with legal positions for quite some time, and would probably be content to do that for quite a number of years. So I'm on a different page than you are in terms of the fact that this is on private property. Doesn't matter.
I'm not so much on a page as I'm caution.
Yeah, and I understand the caution, but I think we're being overly cautious on the legal matter because of the ownership. But if this were a 6-foot fence on his private property, would we allow it? And if we asked him to take it down and he didn't, would we go in and take it down? Absolutely we would. There's really, from a legal perspective, I don't think it's any different. We regulate what people can and can't do on their private property. People can't put a shed in their front yard. It's private property. There's no difference, in my opinion.
Anybody else with a comment? Anybody else with a comment on any of this? The motion before us is that we are going to have the Bannister Street hedge removed at the earliest opportunity, which I would think is tomorrow, given what the weather is going to look like. And we're going to do that right away. Councillor Stoyles, this is your motion. You may close the debate if you have anything else to say, and then I'll call for the vote.
That's basically basically it, Your Worship. I'd be just glad to see it done. I mean, it's been ongoing for so long that I'm glad that I was able to bring it forward again tonight, and finally we'll answer the people's questions in that area.
That closes debate. We'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Yay.
We are still on new business. Are you fit? Does that conclude everything for you, Councillor Stoyle?
That's it.
All right, Councillor Aker, new business.
Thank you very much. There's a briefing session here at 7 o'clock, guys. We got to be out of here.
Yes, I was going to say we've been 2 hours.
I'll be really quick. Jason, just want to mention, welcome to the City of Mount Pearl. Good to have you on board. Great to see that position, by the way, community services filled.
Yep.
It's fairly important that we have a full complement of directors, eh? You know what I mean? Echo everybody else's sentiments about Citizen of the Year, to all the nominees and to Christine. Congratulations. Just wanted to send out best wishes to Georgina Smith, who is the coordinator with the Mount Pearl Seniors Independence Group. She hasn't been feeling well. Georgina, if you're watching, we're thinking about you. Right? Yeah. Mount Pearl Minor Hockey, the Midget H hockey tournament was held down in Fortune. I had the luck, or the good pleasure, I should say, to attend. I want to say congratulations to the staff, the kids, and all the volunteers. That was the Midget B team that went to the Midget H tournament. I won't get into all the details, but really congratulations to all the Mount Pearl Minor hockey players this year and the participation in year-end tournaments. And one last thing, seeing it's Volunteer Week, I wanted to just say a thank you to 2 people who sit on our Affordable Seniors Housing Committee, which is chaired by Deputy Mayor Locke, and I'm on that committee along with some of our planning, or all of our planning staff, it seems. Shirley Boone and Jim Greenland have been really, really good participants in that committee, helping us to mold an affordable seniors housing project. They put in countless hours with us, and where this is Volunteer Week, I just wanted to make note of that and say congratulations to both Jim and to Shirley. And that's it, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor.
All right, I'll be quick as well. Many of the things I was going to bring up were touched upon. Congratulations to all the people mentioned here, Christine Henneberry. I just want to throw out congratulations as well to the Junior Blades, the Marksburg Warehouse Junior Blades. They went to Game 7 in the league championship. They came up a little short, but apparently it was a great series. They put in a great year, and they're now in the Don Johnson Cup, so they got a chance now to get some revenge on the team that beat them. So hats off to those folks. Another thing I wanted to mention, now that we're getting our line painting, when you're coming off Topsail Road heading south onto Commonwealth Avenue, they have that solid line in place so people can merge in with the traffic. And some people don't realize that the solid line means you can't cross into that lane. We also have a similar one coming up Commonwealth, turning west onto Smallwood Drive Extension. So you're coming up that, and people again, they don't honor that solid line. So I just want to remind residents that they're there for a purpose. So it allows the free moving traffic, and it can flow in. So if you see the solid line, do not cross over. And the last thing I want to mention, I alluded to earlier, Your Worship, was yourself and Councillor Stoyles and Councillor Ledwell, and the challenge that you guys have on the go. And I know you mentioned that it was, due to money at first. And I'm reluctant to call it a weight loss challenge because I think it's more than that. And I heard on CBC Radio today at the lunch hour call-in show, they had someone on about dieting and should we be dieting and all this sort of stuff. And I think you guys have taken the right approach, because it's not just a diet, it's a lifestyle change. And I've said it to you on many occasions when I've seen you. I'm a little biased towards Councillor Stoyles because
Hey, you're in on the money.
well, I'm her coach. I'm not in it for any money.
My coach went away.
Well, I can't speak to the coach you chose. I'm just telling you that I'm on Councillor Stoyles' team here. But so I know the work that she's putting in, and also the work that yourself and Councillor Ledwell are certainly putting in. And you know what? It truly is an inspiration. As community leaders, I think you guys are doing a great job. And again, I'd like to call it a healthy lifestyle challenge. That's the way I put it. So, since this was televised, I went through the effort to contact Connie Fleming with Department of Community Services, and I had some T-shirts made up for you guys. I know April 27th there's a day, and there's going to be a winner declared.
Yeah.
But I know it's said a lot, but in this case, in this case, while Councillor Stoyles will be the ultimate winner, I think you guys are all winners. So I have some shirts made up here.
I think the deputy mayor's lost his mind.
So it
What do they
says,
say? Mount Pearl
City
Healthy
of Mount
Lifestyle
Pearl,
Challenge.
Healthy
Oh, I like
Lifestyle
that.
Challenge.
That is nice.
And
Who gets that
I have
one?
a winner on
Done to
Well, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Now,
I hope that's
Now,
that's
in
my
fairness-
size.
Now, are they all smaller than the sizes that we
In
would normally
fairness,
have?
they all have winner on the back.
Ah,
Because, like I said,
nice.
I think it's a great initiative. I think I've heard so many of our residents speaking about it.
We're gonna have to wear that at the
And
gym.
the efforts
guys.
are
Absolutely.
There you go.
So I would
Sure
just
will.
like to, I know Mr. Yevchek has a camera there, and this is for Councillor Shores.
Oh, God, he wants a picture of us. Wear it with these up in front of us.
And before, don't go just yet, Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Oh, you're
Much
welcome.
appreciated.
And here you go, Your Worship.
Thank you.
And of course,
Gotta wear that to the gym.
Councillor Walsh mentioned earlier when I was saying how good they look, our council is a very active council. I know Councillor Walsh is a regular, he works out regularly, at his home gym. Councillor Aker plays remarkable softball and he's a jogger. I get made fun of because I bike ride and I wear a funny helmet, and I also like to play softball. And of course, Councillor Tessier. Councillor Tessier is also active in her
Hockey and everything else.
I think we were all deserving of a shirt.
Oh, how nice.
So,
Everybody gets one.
Because you always make mention to the team. Now, we don't have a winner on the back,
You don't?
but we certainly
Thank you,
are
Deputy Mayor.
participants. So I just think it's a great motivation for our residents. I know we mentioned the mayor of in Labrador that won the
Yep.
leadership
Yeah, from
challenge
Postville,
there.
yeah.
From Postville.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
I just think as a member of council, I'm proud of the fact that you guys have embraced this healthy lifestyle challenge, as indeed the whole council has. So I hope it's inspiration to our members of the community to get on side and don't worry about losing the weight. Adopt a healthy lifestyle with your diet and your exercise, and the pounds will fall off, and you'll reach a healthy weight for yourself. Don't put a number in mind trying to lose 30 pounds or 50 pounds. Adopt the active, healthy lifestyle, and you'll get the natural weight.
You know what I have to lose? You know what I have to lose?
No.
1/10 of 1% of my weight.
Yeah.
More than either one of those two.
There you go. That's all Anyways, I want to congratulate you, and I look
I thought you
forward
were
to
gonna say $200.
April 27th is the end.
April 27th is, no, there's no end to this because it's a lifestyle change.
Right, for the challenge.
Absolutely.
But I
The
just
challenge
encourage you
ends
to
April
continue.
27th.
I'm done, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and on that, you're going to move with adjournment.
Indeed.
Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor. We stand adjourned.